So first off, there aren't going to be any sketches in this video because my sketching arm is injured and it hurts to do little sketches right now. And if you read the title to this video, then you know why. And if you got here some other way, I fell down some stairs and injured myself. And I'm making this video not just as a confessional of an embarrassing thing, but because I'm actually glad that happened to me. And it got me thinking about some things that I just felt I wanted to share with you. So, So I'm Ben, and this is not sketchy advice. This is unsolicited advice. Well, no, you clicked on the link. So that's like, I'm Ben, and this is tentatively solicited advice. So let's start with the dramatic story. It's a simple tale, really, of a man in socks on carpeted stairs, fell forward and smashed his face into a wall and his elbow into the floor, which sits on a concrete foundation. So I fell down about 8 carpeted steps, which would be embarrassing, except for the fact that I was holding my 2-year-old son, Knox, which means it was terrifying. And he was upset, so he was kind of thrashing around. Ironically, he was upset because I wouldn't let him watch a video about ambulances, which is pretty funny. And one way or another, as I turned the stairs, I slipped and I started to fall forward as I was holding this kid. Time kind of stretched out, you know? And so I determined that my best move would be to try and like keep going down the stairs, like try to lean back and see if like I could course correct backward before we, hit the ground, essentially. And I did. When we like hit the wall on the floor, I like kind of immediately went into shock. I couldn't really feel anything. I looked down and like Knox is covered in blood. And my first thought is like, oh my gosh, I've just wounded my kid. We need to go to the hospital. This is really bad. I'm such a bad dad. But amazingly, Knox was fine. Knox didn't have a scratch on him. All of the blood on him was my blood from when my nose hit the wall, which, by the way, didn't dent the wall and didn't break my nose. So I don't know, I guess it was a clean fight. And for those of you concerned parents, grandparents, and good citizens out there, yes, we monitored for concussion symptoms, and both Knox and I were fine for that. Knox walked away with no physical damage, just some mild trauma, just a little trauma. And I walked away with a bloodied nose, a sprained elbow, and a sore knee. And here's what's weird is that after I knew that Knox was okay, and after I'd had some time to process, between driving to urgent care and then driving to get an x-ray and all this stuff, I'm actually really thankful this happened. I'm not thankful for, the injuries, but I think I learned something about myself that I'd never really known before. This is probably going to sound strange, but I've always struggled with the idea of like courage, of like stepping out and doing the hard thing, even when it puts me in, the crosshairs of someone's ridicule or physical danger or whatever. I've just been in so many situations where I felt that I ought to do something, ought to say something, ought to intervene or reconcile or whatever. And I've just kind of taken the retreat away from those things. And it's kind of built up in my head this image that at my core, I'm just kind of a cowardly person who just pretty much only cares about myself. And that's not a great image to have. It was one of the reasons that for a long time I really hesitated to take the leap to be a dad, because I didn't want my own selfishness and like cowardliness to negatively affect my kid. But as I went back and I replayed that moment, I realized like I hurt in 3 places. My nose hit the wall, and my elbow and my knee hit the ground. And Knox hit nothing. What I must have done is I kind of like became a human tripod, and I held him really close here so that when we hit, he was still suspended by my chest, so he didn't hit anything. I hit that wall and the ground with no way of stopping myself. No hands out, no bracing, just I just hit it because that's what I needed to do, at least as fast as I could act. Like, I'm not trying to like puff myself up here. That's one of the bravest things I've ever done. So, I didn't even have time to think in that moment. So the fact that that's just what I did, like in a moment, it was really heartening because I realized like, oh, this is in me. I can be a brave person. And I just didn't, this is sad to say, I haven't had a whole lot of instances in my life that have proved that to me. But now I kind of feel like a lot of the other things that scare me, knowing that like down in there is that same instinct to help and to protect, makes me feel like maybe I can step out and do some hard stuff, do some scary stuff. It got me thinking about this book that I read by psychologist Graham Davy called The Catastrophic Worrier. He points out that people who chronically worry, like I did, about like, oh, I guess I'm not a brave person. I'm not the person who can stand up and do something. I'm not the person who can act in a crisis. The problem that those people have is not a problem with their abilities. It's not a problem-solving skills issue, because Davy found that when he tested chronic worriers and people who don't struggle with chronic worry, when he gave them like problem-solving tests and scenarios, they all did about the same. The average worrier is about as good as solving problems as the average not as worried person. But he found that the difference was an issue of confidence. Worriers spin and spin through multiple scenarios, not because they don't have an idea of what they should do or what would be best to do. They just don't have the full confidence to pursue that course of action. In fact, in one of Davy's studies where he had these people do problem-solving tests, he found that if he just kind of randomly told certain people like, hey, you did really, really well, or hey, you did really, really badly, that how much he undermined or boosted their confidence had an inverse effect on how much they worried. So if you had just been told like, hey, you really sucked at that problem-solving thing, then when you went into an interview designed to measure your propensity for worry, you worried way more and way more erratically. And on the other hand, if you had been told like, hey, you're really good at this, you really know what to do in situations, then when you went into that interview, you worried way less. And that just makes you think about like, where does our confidence come from? Because I've met so many people who the way that they deal with money, their spending, is just to worry about it. It's just to go, oh man, I hope we have enough for this. I hope that we can, all this. And that's their mode of getting through. And they don't feel confident that they can make forward progress or that they can commit to a new way of spending or that they can achieve this goal. And I think so much of that has to do with when you look back at your life, is there evidence that you can do this? Have you had wins with money? Have you learned a habit that you've stuck with? Like, I think back to when I was in high school, I was asked kind of out of the blue to like give a talk to a high school group. And I'd never really done that before. So I like threw something together. I prepped stuff. I practiced. And then I got up in front of the group and I didn't know what to think of it because I'd never done it before. I didn't know how to feel or how to evaluate if I'd done well. And someone came up to me, and I don't even remember who it was, but someone came up to me and just said, wow, that was really good. And if I hadn't done that talk in front of a group of like maybe 13 teenagers and had one other teenager tell me it was good, I probably wouldn't be working for YNAB helping people understand their brains and their money, because it took a lot of small successes, a lot of realizing that this is something I can do. This is the kind of person I can be to get to where I'm at now. Here at YNAB, we hear all kinds of incredible stories from YNABers about how their lives have improved. And while it is cool and exciting to read the stories about people who paid off their house or were able to quit their job or paid off, $500,000 of student loan debt in 3 months or whatever, I'm kind of partial to stories like Jonathan's, who last year had his first cash flow positive month since COVID. Or Courtney, who still has credit cards with balances, but paid down $3,000 faster than she thought. Or Angela, who recently celebrated her first successful sinking fund, renewing her YNAB subscription. These things are so much smaller than the stuff that has articles written about it or that people make blogs about. But I think these are the most important things. This is where it begins. This is where you start to get this sense that, oh, maybe I'm this kind of person now. Maybe I'm braver than I thought. Maybe I'm more responsible than I thought. Maybe I can enjoy life more than I thought. Maybe my relationship with my partner when it comes to money can be better than I thought. Those wins are the foundation that let you move on to bigger and better wins. To quote Brandon Sanderson's immaculate Stormlight Archive series, the most important step a person can take is the next step. So what's your next step? What is a small, attainable win that you could put in your trophy case? And hey, is there someone you know who's trying to get better with money? What if you could just affirm them? What if you could look at something they're doing right now that might not seem like a huge deal, but give them that positive feedback. Give them that, wow, that was really good. Because if a comment like that from a 16-year-old got me here, who knows, man? That comment could set someone on a road to financial security and better emotional well-being and better relationship with their partner. So how about this? Let's close it out this way. What is a small win that was important for you or has been important for you in your financial journey? What's something that may not seem like a big deal to other people that wound up having a big impact on you, that gave you that sense of, wow, maybe I can do this? If you want to share it, please leave a comment. Let's hear your stories, not the big flashy ones, just the next steps that mattered. I think if we all just got really good at affirming and identifying our own small wins and other people's small wins, we could make this whole money thing a lot less intimidating, a lot less shaming, and for goodness sake, make fewer people feel like they're behind somehow. Wouldn't that be great? I apparently had to fall down the stairs to get a greater sense of confidence in myself, but maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can just say a kind, truthful, encouraging word to yourself or to somebody else. Just a thought. Thanks for watching.